Hey guys, it's Claire here. I'm a little bit off the beaten path today for tourists, but I wanted to kind of find somewhere a bit more secluded, and I think I did, so I'll show you sort of. Just around the corner, there's a bunch of people practicing rowing up on the Thames, but I think I'm well away on the footpath, and it's muddy and cold and kind of late, so yeah. So the reason this video is kind of late is that I've been doing a lot of thinking today, and that's like kind of what this trip was about, right? It was a lot of personal experience and development and asking questions. And you can't come to Oxford and not ask yourself about education. There's colleges absolutely everywhere. The entire place is steeped in academic history. And, a master's is something that's been on my mind for some time because I love academia. My boyfriend makes fun of me a lot because he's a big fan of self-teaching, and I think that that's wonderful. But I like structure and form, and I like, most of all, mentorship. And I think part of the positive relationship I have with education also comes from the fact that in my undergrad, this is going to sound weird, education was kind of my retreat. Because I studied at the Royal Military College of Canada, and the entire time that I was there was kind of this silent war taking place between the academic wing and the military wing over the identity of the college. And that identity, was torn between the fact that it was an academic institution, which was delivering undergraduates and masters, and I think there's even a few PhD programs there, alongside a military-focused education, which at times was also confused as to what it meant. And so you got the feeling when you were there that you were part of this social experiment, and not that you were a student whose purpose was to be there to learn and to grow as a person. You were forever being challenged and tested, and sometimes the tests themselves didn't really make sense. And I'm not talking about book tests, I'm talking about leadership tests that didn't incorporate leadership, but would instead try and instill you with these values, which themselves were only skin deep. And I don't mean to badmouth the place. There were a lot of people who did well, but to me, it was a crushing experience because I lost a lot of faith in not only myself, which was kind of the first wall they tear down, but also in the military. I joined to be a pilot, and that didn't go so hot, not because I have anything to do with my pilot skills, which I think was the worst part, because I'll never know now whether or not I could be a military pilot. But I lost a lot of faith in my country too. That's uncomfortable to admit. Like, Canada has never been a super patriotic place as far as I'm concerned. It's honestly more regional in terms of what people are proud of than as any kind of quintessential Canadian thing that we're supposed to embody. But I thought I was going to find that out, I guess. I thought I was going to figure out what those ideals were. And instead, I don't know, I was met with hypocrisy, I suppose. And that was disheartening. And so I grew quite bitter about the entire experience. And coming out of that now and being able to wander around and explore, and to bring it back to Oxford, being able to travel has shown me a little bit that, not necessarily what it means to be Canadian or anything like that, but that there are values that mean things, that there are things that you are willing to kind of maybe lay your life down for is a little extreme at this point. I still don't know if there's anything that I would be willing to do that for, and mean it, and not just be taking a martyr position, but to actually say, no, this is a thing worth dying for. But I am discovering that there are values that give me not just pleasure, but a sense of purpose in performing or accomplishing. You know, the word duty can mean a lot to many people. It can mean obligations. It can mean keeping your promises. It can mean fulfilling the goals set out for you by someone else because you trust them to push you in the correct direction. But you also have a duty to yourself to take accountability for things that go wrong, and to take accountability for the things that you can do that are within your power. And that's a very lonely experience. You know, I've been looking around Oxford and I've been enjoying the tourism of it and meeting other people, but I also wonder at the kind of person who's attracted to study here. What kind of a person, what kind of a student do you have to be to succeed when you are faced with the reputation of so many great people? That's got to be a lot of pressure. You know, when you go to the same schools that produce people like T.S. Eliot or Lord Alfred Tennyson, C.S. Lewis, J.R. Tolkien, prime ministers, like a tradition of them has come from this place. Like, you almost must feel a sense that you have to perform to be even on the same table as some of these people in history. But you also must feel equal to the task, to some degree. You know, most of my life, I've had people tell me I can't do things. Like when I first was applying for the glider scholarship through the cadet program, you know, I was beat out fair and square by other people, and I kind of said fuck it and went and did it anyway. You know, I convinced my parents to let me pull a little bit of money out of the savings for my schooling so I could go and have that summer experience, which was very put together at the last second. And, you know, I did the same thing with my power license because I didn't think I was going to go to university, ironically enough. And then when RMC came around, I had the same thing happen where people were telling me I didn't belong there and I shouldn't be there. And, you know, I saw it through to the end despite all of that. And I don't necessarily say that because I think it's a great thing. You know, throughout all of that, I forever felt like I was out of place. I forever felt like I was just hanging on by my fingernails, and wherever other people were standing 10 feet in from the edge. And I was putting so much effort into just hanging on. But was it even worth it? I asked myself that every day. And I became so fragile from that experience. So I look at people around here and I think, you know, if I did come here, would I just be hanging on by my fingernails again? Would I just be still on the edge, desperately trying to find some meaning in the thing that I've done? Feeling uncomfortable when other people tell me that this is something cool or great that they wish they could do, when inside I know I'm experiencing none of that. And I don't have the answer. I may not ever, you know. But there's something about being here, and there's something about looking up at those schools and envisioning myself as a member of them, and being able to look at education not as like a last resort thing when everything else in my life goes wrong, but as something that I could push myself in and excel at with access to some of the best resources in the world. Yeah, I'm drawn to it. Yeah, I see myself there. And I almost don't want to feel the desire to belong. I don't want to push myself to come and apply because I want to be a member of this student body or because of the prestige. I have had my time with prestige. I don't like it. And I can't tell if that's going to be a bad thing or not. Assuming that even works, you know, not everyone who applies to a place like this gets in. But I want to. I want to come back. This has been the first time, or I've been someplace and it feels weirdly comfortable and like at home, where I can sit in a stream and watch a pair of swans swim by. while 10 feet away there's people rowing boats, and across the river there's the city. You know, I feel more comfortable here than I do anywhere I have in Canada. Isn't that strange? Anyway, this video is getting a bit long, so I'm going to cut it off. But yeah, those are some of the thoughts that have been going through my head today. And you know, I'll check out things with Oxford and see if applying here is even a small reality. I mean, there's a lot of challenges, but you know, I've faced down challenges before. Yeah. Bye.